Hi, I'm BryCox, BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. Let's talk about buying camera equipment and lighting equipment and everything else. So I had a question, actually a few questions I answered in a previous video on the right camera to buy. And the answer to that, if you want to go back and watch it, really is the best camera, because moving up in camera is not going to make you a better photographer. Getting more training is going to make you a better photographer, and that'll also help you know how to pick really any camera and rock any camera that you can afford, whether it's a $600 camera, a $1,000 camera, a $5,000 camera, whatever it is. It's less about the equipment and more about the gray matter up here that we need to upgrade. So all that training, again, I have on my website, but the next step to that is then buying equipment. And how do you buy equipment and where do you buy equipment? So the first thing I always tell everybody, even if they're just clients that come in, they're like, I need a new camera, where should I buy it? My number one rule is I do not buy cameras from these online stores like Amazon or eBay or anything like that. Yeah, you might be able to save a little bit of money, but it's not worth it. Because one, you don't know if you're getting a legitimate camera. It might say Nikon, and it might be made by Nikon, hopefully. Not always. It could be a complete knockoff. But there are a lot of times they call gray market. They're not just full black market, they're gray market, which is kind of a middle ground. It was a gray market camera. A gray market camera means it still may be made by Nikon or Canon or something, but it's made for an entire different region of the world, maybe like Malaysia or some place, some super far away place, which means that somebody went over there, put a bunch in a boat, brought them over here, and they're trying to sell them for a little bit less. And when you buy it and then something's wrong and you call up Nikon or Canon or something, guess what? You don't have a warranty. They go, yeah, you got to ship it over to Malaysia or China or wherever. That model is for there. If you need adapters, electrical things that need to plug in sometimes, they don't work. Why? Because the camera's made for an entirely different region. It may look the same. They may say American warranty, but it doesn't. They're just saying that so you buy it, right? And then the next thing is you have no support. You have no support not only from Nikon or Canon or whoever, Sony, but you also don't have support from the store. You can't call Amazon and say, hey, I got a problem with my camera. They can't help you. So I like to support camera stores, professional camera stores, for a couple reasons. One, I know them, they're my friends, but two, I get way more support and help from them. And three, I like supporting people that support me. So when I go speak places, these are the kind of companies that are chipping in money and sponsoring the event and making it possible. They ship me equipment sometimes that I can demo and try, right? And that's the kind of company that I like to deal with. So, and here's the other thing, I need information when I'm buying. There's so many models. So one of my main cameras right now is Nikon. I have Nikon. I don't even think I have Canon anymore. I think it's mostly all Nikon. I'm thinking about I got in my bag. But I've got some other brands. I got like Lumix and things. But when I go to buy something, even just to pick the one brand Nikon, they've got so many models, way too many models. They've got everything from the super high professional end to the consumer end and everything in between, every little tiny little step in between. They got a gazillion models. And even though I do this for a living, it's not my job to keep up on every new single model and the slight little difference between this one and that one and this one and that one. That's what the camera stores do. And most camera stores don't keep up with that as much, right? Electronic stores for sure. So who does? The high-end professional camera stores. When I say high-end, I don't mean the prices are different, but they have that high-end service. So one of my favorite stores is in Texas, Arlington, Texas. I'm in Utah, but they have supported me over the years so many times at events, and I know them, and I call them up, and I say, hey, guys at Arlington, I need a new camera. I'm kind of thinking in this range, this model, and they say, yeah, this is a great one. Go with this. Perfect. That's the kind of advice I need. And so when clients ask me, what should I buy? I go, you know what I do? I would go to a professional store where you can hold the camera, right? If you're in Texas, anywhere, I'd go to Arlington Camera, check them out. If you already know what you want to buy or just need help, call them up and buy it. If you live here locally in Utah, right, Pictureline is a great store. You go over there, you can hold the thing, you can even rent things. That's another great idea is rent a camera before you buy it. Rent it, shoot it, see what you think. If you're at all unsure, renting it gives you a good idea, and then you can then buy it, and it's just a little bit of money. Same with lenses. If you're unsure about a lens, rent it. Rent it for a weekend. Shoot it all weekend, and then buy it. And so for that reason, I also really worry about buying cameras used because I don't know where the first person bought it and how well they've treated it. So if you can get a smoking deal on it, sometimes you can get things used for a good price. But that's the one thing I usually worry about is that they buy it gray market and now they're trying to sell it for as high as they can because they feel like it's worth it. Think of it this way. Cameras are like computers. They drop in value quite a bit. I'll get clients that come in and they'll say, hey, my friend's selling this camera and here it is on their, on my phone, and here's the pictures of the camera and the model, and they want like $500 for it. And I go, that's like a really cheap consumer camera that was probably $500 to begin with, right? And then they want like $400 for it now. It's like, no, that's worth like half at least, $200, $250 maybe, right? You don't know how many miles have been on it. So that's the one thing I worry about. If you're buying used, make sure you're getting a smoking deal, especially if you're buying it from an individual. You can look at the mileage, the shutter count, see how many shutter actuations it's had. That kind of gives you an idea of how well it's been treated and how many miles it has. And then you can look online and say, well, how many is average before you have to have things fixed? If you've had this many shutter actuations, but you got this many more before it breaks, gives you an idea. If you're already that many. So for me, because it's my profession, I like to just buy it new from a store like Arlington or Picture Line, somewhere that I know that's a professional store where they have reps from around the country, and I know the reps. I know people from like Profoto and Nikon, and I know the actual reps from around the country, and these reps know these camera stores because they visit them. And so when I don't have to, I know the reps from events, but it's kind of annoying for me to call them personally. But guess what? That's what the store's for. The store gets all of that information, and I go, hey, I need a great lighting stand. I need some great lights. I need this. What's changed since the last time I bought? And they go, oh yeah, we got this new model, and we got this, deal or sale or whatever. You're like, okay, that's what I want. So when it comes to buying things, don't buy online from like Amazon or eBay or something. If you're buying used, be careful. And my advice is go with a professional store where you can get some advice. Not like a big box electronics store. Those are just high school kids that are taught how to just move the product. They don't know. They don't know what they're talking about. Go to a professional store where they deal with professionals. And then the next thing is, especially if you're not a professional photographer and you just want a cool camera, get one of these nice smaller consumer SLRs or even like a cool point and shoot. A lot of times these kind of smaller flat cameras you will have with you is going to be far more valuable than something that's great, big, and huge that you never have with you, right? And if you want, maybe buy both. Have the big one for those special things that you want to do where you want to set your equipment up, but then have something small with you for those special moments when you just need to pull out and get a picture of your little grandkid or something, or you're hanging out with your friends. So I carry like a little $600 camera that I just kind of keep with me pretty much all the time. If I'm rock climbing, if I'm in the mountains here in Utah, if I'm hanging out with my friends, we're surfing or something, I've got this cool little tiny camera that I can just pop out, get some cool pictures, and they're great. And why? Because, well, I know how to rock the camera. I know how to set it manually. So that goes back to the training aspect, how to set ISO, shutter, f-stop, white balance, and flash if you're using it, or how to use lighting in general. Setting those things and controlling those 5 things will make you a better photographer, much more than just buying a much more expensive camera. All right, if you want more training on any of this, check out all of my courses. I've got hours and hours and hours on things like lighting and everything else at my website, BryCoxWORKSHOPS, BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. All right, you guys, until next time, America.